economic and cultural environment, how are our executives building and managing their teams? How are they building them out for the future? In today's executive discussion, Donna and I are going to talk about this and explain and share some of the concerns, challenges, and opportunities our executives have explored within our Vistage meetings. Donna, what are your thoughts?
Oh, Jerry, this is like one of my favorite topics. And I mean, we could go on forever with this one, but our CEOs are challenged because there's hybrid everything, right? And so there's so many dynamics. And in order to be efficient, we want processes, but in order to be effective, we have to have an individual building and coaching and growing strategy for each one of our employees. And to make sure that that's really the job of the CEO is to set that strategy, make sure the middle managers have the skills, put the time aside, and really focus on their people. And I just think that it's a challenge because we're all challenged by efficiencies, time, and wanting to get all of the things on our plate done by the end of the day so we could go have this perfect balanced life.
It's interesting what you say, and I think you bring up something that is wildly important and a nuance in today's ever-changing culture and economic environment, and it's that hybrid everything. When we talk about developing roles and we talk about the CEO from the top down working with their middle managers, we're no longer giving people single roles. We're no longer helping them say, hey, this is what you need to deliver. It's you need to play multiple roles and then deliver in multiple expectations. How are we changing how we at Vistage manage and develop our CEOs to be able to address this? So for me, I'm always finding it as an interesting conversation when you come to this, and you termed it hybrid everything. How are we setting expectations? How are we managing those expectations and then motivating and exciting? And then what does the next level look like for a hybrid everything person? Is there a
Right.
promotion? Is the promotion traditional?
It's really, really complex. I mean, I think in, all my years it worked. This is the most challenging time. And it's so interesting because none of us have the answer. This is a frontier we have yet to traverse. So what I love about Vistage and what I love about all of this idea behind peer advisory is we get the answers because we get perspective. And what's an answer for you is not an answer for me. So what I do know though is CEOs have to see themselves and their leadership team as new generation leaders. They are managing 5 generations of humans that have different needs, different perspective, different passions, different life values, right? And if you're not having a two-way dialogue with that individual, you are sunk. There's no way that you're going to get the alignment and the knowledge and the insights that you need in order to set and support and coach a path for an individual.
And then you add on the complexity of hybrid, not only meaning multiple jobs, but multiple locations.
Right.
I'm at home 1 day a week or 2 days a week. I'm in the office. So that coaching now becomes much more important and also selective. When am I doing it? How am I doing it? And then how am I measuring it? It's interesting. We have a member in our Vistage group here in Arizona that has a significant concern with the number of days their employees are now working from home, and they believed that it was more important to be in the office. And the question is, well, why? Right? Why do you want them in the office when it comes to their work output? And a lot of, I think, traditional CEOs are because I can see them. I want to be able to walk over to their office. That type of management skill set is falling to the wayside to the communication over Zoom, over a phone call, over text, and a lot of that is nuanced. You have to be at the top of your game as a leader when you're communicating with your team on so many different platforms. When in the past you could walk into their office, they could see your face, you could smile, they could give you that sort of sense of well-being with just a look. And now you have to schedule a Zoom call. It's a text. It's a phone call. It could be doing three different things, and then you're no longer talking to that person about one single job, but multiple jobs from multiple locations. So at Vistage, and once again, I think that's what makes us so special. Putting yourself in these CE rooms with 16 other CEOs and asking them what they're doing uh, to overcome some of these challenges and getting a lot of communication. We have somebody in our group who's really not in favor of or wasn't in favor of that hybrid work situation from home and from work, but because of the perspective of some of the other CEOs, they were able to overcome their objections and now have a very successful work environment that's back to the productivity of pre-COVID. And that was because of the perspectives from the other 16 CEOs.
Yeah, the perspective is unbelievable. I think one of the things like the Vistage group is it's got to be deliberate. Whatever we do really has to have a sense of deliberance. So I am deliberately having this conversation with you because you're important. I am deliberately coming to this meeting because I know there's two-way value. And I'm going to lock in for this number of hours or for whatever this one-to-one is and just focus on my needs and your needs. And I think that whether that's through Zoom, we've got to be able to be good at that, or whether that's a one-to-one, the idea that everything has to be face-to-face, well, that's great. But can it be video face-to-face and equally as valuable as it is? And some people have just, I think, got to get past the fact that we're global, we're mobile, we're hybrid, we're everything that it takes to be on a flexible communication platform, because the world is connected and it's digitally connected.
No, on a 24/7 basis. And I think that brings me to one of sort of my core beliefs is clarity, right? What kind of clarity are you bringing to your team? Are you assuming clarity or are you delivering clarity? And I think a lot of us assume clarity as leaders because it's in the job description. But because that job description has changed, it's become such a and you said it, it's a moving target. It's mobile, it's global, it's a hybrid. It's no longer one straightforward assumption. So the more you can bring clarity to your team, and what does that mean? It means writing down what your core three objectives are, and then sitting down with each person and making sure that you're aligned. Clarity is about aligning your team with what their objectives are, what their deliverables are, what your expectations of those deliverables are, and also understanding what their expectations of you as a leader are. And for me, clarity sort of sums all of that up. We're so used to moving so fast. When we assume clarity, we begin to erode culture because that's where expectations get gobbled up. And then people start to have that water cooler conversation, either via text now. Did so and so tell you this? Did this happen? When you're clear, when there's clarity, when there is on every meeting, there's an agenda. I had a board of executives, and one of the members, every single time we met, a phone call, there was an agenda, a 3 bullet point agenda. Every single time we had a communication, and we were always aligned. There was never a moment we weren't, because I always knew. And by the way, he would send the agenda the day before, the week before, and then ask me to send an agenda. Hey, you send it this time, right? There was this back and forth, the clarity of communication, and it made a huge difference. It made a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's really important. I have been coaching that one-to-one with that very clear focused. This is what I want to talk about. this is what my observation is. You know, we use a term that one of our presenters gave us, TSP. So what's the truth about the situation? You know, what is the situation in which I saw that truth? And then how do I make that positive? And so when we think in terms of having the communication, that two-way dialogue, that's very deliberate. I'm here for you and you're here for me. How many leaders really are asking for that kind of feedback? I don't think it's enough. And therein lies the reason why this is such an important part of building and managing teams today and in the future. We've got to have it a two-way dialogue.
And Donna, you know, that's such a strong point, and I'd almost like to emphasize it even further by saying that strong communication and dialogue is hinged on that leader being present during that one-on-one, not worried about the board call that's going to take place the next day or in an hour, but being present during that communication on that one-on-one with their team members and listening and engaging. That sets such a tone within a company, and then repeating back what you just heard. So if I hear you correctly, what I'm getting from you is like just pairing back that communication to that team member, you know, solidifies that relationship with them. So important. Too many times we're listening as an executive, listening to talk and waiting to talk. And we want to get our point across quickly, and I wouldn't even say effectively at times. We just want to know we said it. And I think that's the old approach. And we're looking at the new approach now, where we're coaching our executives to make sure you're scheduling one-on-ones with your management team, your meta management team. You're present during those, and you're pairing back the conversation so they know you're listening.
Yeah, you know, I think it's if you boil it down to our topic, building and managing the team, it has to have clear expectations that come from clear communication. I had the opportunity to meet a gentleman through the Vistage presentation group, and he's an expert in communication. He's spent 25 years on just that topic. He's written 2 books. He speaks all over the world. And when we were talking, I said to him, you know, how do you know you're in a really good communication? And he said, because the person asks you a question to understand. If somebody doesn't ask you a question in that communication, then they're doing what you're talking about, is listening to answer. And I love that, because that's the way we can check. And if somebody doesn't have a question, then so what's the question you have for me?
You know, I love that. And, you know, one of the Vistage speakers that I had in one of our groups gave us this exercise, Donna, and I kind of loved it, because when it comes to building your team and understanding what your team's dreams are, because we assume as a CEO that, you know, growth and profit and revenue and customer experience and loyalty is everybody's agenda. And it's not, right? It is our agenda to make sure that we give the best possible customer experience, the best possible service. We grow the company, there's profits, there's revenue, and there's something for everybody to share, right? But what this Vistage speaker had talked about was, you know, setting aside a lunch hour on a Friday and giving everybody an assignment. I would like you to print out 10 pictures that illustrate your biggest dreams. Wow. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, we would like you to cut out anything the size of a 3x5 index card. And I'd like you to come up 10. If it's a trip to Disneyland, if it's a boat, if it's getting married, if it's a relationship, if it's a house. And what we're going to do is if we had 25 people in the office, we're talking about mid-sized companies, right? What we're going to do, okay, is we're going to create a board in the conference room on a wall. We actually did it in my company on a wall, a white wall, and we put the person's name, you know, Jerry, Donna, and then we put those pictures underneath that. And every time the company hit a milestone, we would go through and I would say, hey, Donna, it looks like, we're that much closer to, this for you, that much closer to this for you. So what we tried to do and what the speaker told us was let them attach the company's success to their success. And it was a great exercise because bonuses were paid. And what did people do with those bonuses? They took a trip to Disneyland. They put a down payment on a house. They bought a
Yeah,
new
they
car,
fulfilled their dream.
right? So when we hit numbers and we gave out bonuses, we didn't give out bonuses. We literally wrote on the check, hey, down payment on your house, new car.
Oh,
And so instead of it being money, which we use money to do these things, but it gave this really different
right.
feeling and approach, which I kind of loved. And people then connected with the company in a different way. We had very low turnover, and people began to work a little harder and in a fun way, in a challenging way. What I mean is they supported each other
Right. Oh
instead of
my
going, well,
gosh.
I'm done. I'm out of here today. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Donna needs help. Well, what do you need help with, Donna? I got a half hour. Can I help you with something?
Right, right,
And
right.
I'm not asking people to work, 100 hours a week. In that 8 hour day, they were becoming more efficient and more supportive.
You see, that's a perfect example of getting a best practice from a peer and sitting there and envisioning it. I'm going to use this in my next Vistage meeting. How fabulous is that, right? My own dream, right? So when we do our check-in, it's going to be professional, health, personal, and dream. I
it's
love it.
it's funny, right? We all have dreams, but I think at times, this saying of like, well, let's get back to reality. Well, why can't reality be your dream? Why can't reality deliver your dream? And it's right. It's not about sitting in bed and dreaming all day. It's about the intent that you have when you go to work and what are you doing. And if you are a leader and your intent is to build that culture, to have clarity in communication, to have that connection where you're asking those questions to
Right.
your team and they're pairing back answers, right? When you go home at night, that team didn't go to work. That team had an experience.
Right. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I just think about the two words purpose and impact,
Oh, I love that.
right? And
Oh, I
so
love
if
that.
you're having an experience at work, it should be purposeful, it should be impactful, and you have that human connection. And that's how you build these extraordinary teams. I mean, it's the success cases are out there, small and large. I just think it's the idea of it is a definite and deliberate desire and expectation that starts at the top.
I think that's beautiful. I also, I think a lot of people are talk about modeling, right? So we talk about Vistage being in a room with 16 other, let's say CEOs with 10 years experience, 160 years of executive or CEO experience at your fingertips. And the idea isn't so much modeling. I think as a CEO and as a leader, it's our jobs to find our own ways. And we do that by gaining as much knowledge, as much data as humanly possible, and then deciding how that data, how that information can help me evolve, can help my company grow, and can help my culture grow. I think too many times we look to people to give us the answers. And I think what Vistage does is it gives you so many critical data points with so many experts sharing their experiences that you actually create new pathways. And I think
Right.
that's the economy and the culture and the time we're in now, looking for these strong leaders who are looking to create new ways using everybody else's experiences, gaining all of that data, but then taking different steps forward to ensure that communication and that relationship is now in a bond is stronger than ever.
It's a great point, and I think about it a little bit along the line of the right answer for me. Hey, how many different variations are there of carrot cake? And yet you could sit there and say, oh my God, that was the best carrot cake I ever had. And I think about what you're saying is it's not a model. This is a recipe for success. and you're going to tweak it, and you're going to change, and you're going to innovate it. And it's going to change over time. And I just love that analogy, because that's what we do. We walk out with another snippet or one other variation or one more perspective that, gee, you know what? I didn't really think of it that way. And then growth, development, it explodes, acceleration explodes. And so it's that nuance that I love. It doesn't always have to be, the revolutionary idea. Oftentimes it's those tiny little steps. And I think that's what we walk away with. And it's just so rewarding and enriching.
It is, and the amount of time that Vistage takes up on a monthly basis is less than 3% of working hours, right? It's 1 8 hour meeting that we're when we're all together, and then it's one-on-one that you have. So we're able to share and explore this experience that you can't get anywhere else in the world. Napoleon Hill calls it the mastermind. When you put two people together, we're talking about putting 16 top performing CEOs in a room with you so that you gain this knowledge. And it takes up less than 3% of your working hours. And it's giving you double digit sustainable growth year over year. Vistage members experience and have greater success than non-Vistage members. And that's been said by multiple, economic and business resources. So
Yeah.
I see it every day that I'm in these meetings, and I talk, and I go to multiple meetings, and I talk to CEOs, and I listen to what their concerns are. This is some of the greatest experiences I've ever had. And I think as we continue to do these executive communications, Donna, the more that we can highlight some of these conversations and get it out there for people to give us feedback and let us know what their concerns are and what their
Yep.
challenges are and how they overcame them. We can
Yep.
then begin to build that community, and we're focused here in Arizona. Donna Kent is a Vistage chair, and she has multiple groups. And my name is Jerry Mastelan, and I'm a Vistage chair. And we're just excited to be able to bring information, challenges, and opportunity to our groups. And we look forward to your feedback.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Jerry. It's a great conversation. And if there are ideas and suggestions out there, send them over to me and Jerry. We'd love to hear about them.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Donna. Have a great day.